Hi, guys. Welcome back to Elevators podcast and welcome to new faces and ears.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us on today's show. We have a special show, so you definitely want to stay tuned. But hey, girl, how you feeling? What's going on? What's new? What's the weekend been up to? What are you getting ready for? What's happening?
I'm good. How are you? Lots of planning in New York Fashion Week. So I'm in preparation to go to New York, but also to host and produce two different events. So it's a busy week for me, honey. But I'm good. How are
Nice.
you?
I'm good, girl. Feeling amazing for this brand new month. I have so many goals and things that I want to get done within this new season, this new month. I'm happy that we're back on for season 2, episode 6. Are we on episode 6 right now?
This is episode 6, girl. Look at it.
Episode 6. Let's get
Episode
into it.
6.
I know that everybody that has been listening has been loving our show. So we got to keep bringing you nothing but heat. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Before we get started, we need to do a review.
Yes, let's
We
read
see
a
the
review.
comments, we see the reviews. So I want to read this review by one of our very special listeners. Okay, so it says, "Love them. I'm so happy to have these girls back on the podcast. Overly obsessed with season 1. We're obsessed with you too. Follow both girls on most of all their platforms. It's fun, exciting to see. However, the podcast is by far my favorite to listen to. Love to hear the advice that they give, the real on what's going on. I feel like I'm sitting down with my homegirls on a girls' night, excited for season 2. Yes.
Period.
I love
I
that.
love
That's
that.
exactly what we wanted it to sound like. You were sitting with your homegirls, you're having a kiki, you're having a chat, you're having those real hard, tough conversations, but the fun ones, but it's just the real from us. And I love that.
Mhm. Yes, that was so sweet. The little motivation I needed. Also, make sure you guys are leaving us a speak pipe. It's anonymous. Say nice things. Come to us for advice. We're here to help. So make sure y'all are utilizing that so we can hear your voices, play it on the episode, and get you guys a little more in the fold with us as we continue season 2.
Let's do it. We got to continue the show. I actually have an unfiltered chat that I want to get into before we talk about
Let's do
our
it.
topic. Our topic is on free will. I feel like this kind of can go into free will, but I'm not sure if you guys maybe feel like it is. But there's been a lot of heat, depending on when you listen to the show, it's been going on about Mariah the Scientist and Young Thug in the news. How you feeling about it?
Like her. I really do like her. I do. I feel bad. I feel really bad that everything is unfolding in the
Yeah.
public eye. I also feel like everybody should have known better than to have those type of conversations on a recorded line. You know?
Agreed. Wait, so for
Like,
everyone who's not familiar or not privy to the news, let's kind of give you guys like an overview of what's happening so you know what Krystal and I are talking about. So basically, as we all know, Young Thug was in jail serving time, and his girlfriend, Mariah the Scientist, and him were having a conversation on the jail phone call, which it doesn't belong to neither of them because it tells you as you're on the phone, this call is being recorded. And he was saying some ill things about Glorilla, like about how Glorilla is unattractive. He doesn't understand how someone would want to be with her or sleep with her, I believe he said, rather. Mariah also was chiming in and giving her 2 cents and how she felt about what he was saying. But it was just messy. But let's also be real. A lot of times you have these kind of conversations with your significant other. You just don't think people are actually going to know what you're saying. But it's just the fact of the matter that it was actually on a jail call. So everybody heard it.
right. So now that we've got that context, yeah, I feel bad for the girl. I think that I will say, okay, I feel a lot of things. I feel bad for Mariah the Scientist. I think that, it's just unfortunate to just have your life play out in front of the world like that. Like, it's just not, it's not fun, right? So, like, she's learning things along with the internet, and that must be a very crappy feeling. However, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's like, ooh, there was a quote I heard yesterday on YouTube that was so good. It was like, oh, I can't even find. It was something.
Don't you hate that when you literally can think of something and it's on the top of your tongue, tip of your tongue, top of your head?
Girl,
You can't
it
say
was
it. I hate
something
that
about
feeling.
like the choices, the life you live is based on the choices you. It was just so. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, like now at this point, you're making a decision. to
Mm,
continue staying in that situation. And everything is way easier said than done. So do not get me wrong. So
mhm,
we're not going to see in real time her overcoming that. Do I think she is going to be like, okay, no, cool, I'm done here? Yes.
mhm.
We're not going to see that in real time. So yeah, I don't even feel like my opinion really matters because what I want to say is
Yeah.
like, girl, I seen somebody, child, the internet is so ruthless. I seen somebody comment and they was like, Mariah better grab her lab equipment and get the hell on.
What you do, biology,
They was
is
like,
it
grab your
chemistry?
lab. They said, grab your lab equipment and get the hell on, Mariah. And I felt that. And like the internet's
Girl.
always gonna make light of a situation.
Yeah.
She deserves better. Period.
Yeah, and we're not in her relationship, so we really don't know. So what I do want to say about the unfiltered chat, this my stance on it is I think Thug was entirely wrong. And I also think that as a woman, you can check your man. Like you can definitely be like, babe, I don't think we need to be having that conversation. Or babe, like, no, I think she's beautiful. You if that's what she feels. If she doesn't feel that way, that's her own opinion. But I do think that it's okay to check your man every now and again.
Oh, for sure.
That's
I
one of
am
my
queen
stances. And
checkmate.
like I will check in a second, but I think Glorilla is beautiful. I feel like this is also her opportunity to come in with a new song, like to come in with a track, a diss record, some heat. I think I seen online and it was so perfectly like said. There was a creator that got on the internet and she was like, Glorilla, you got 24 hours to respond. She's like, I need you to feature Gunna in the song. I need you to have Jerica on the back of the song, like you and her Jerica on the phone have a conversation, and also have the leaked jail song, jail
Be the
conversation within
intro.
the song. I was like, yo,
Yes.
Glorilla, do this, please, because I think that this would be perfect. Like,
She should definitely use that.
Thug is looking bad
He
right
is
now.
looking
Like,
so bad. And I kind of tether between the line of, first of all, Glorilla should definitely use that audio as her intro song, as her intro for like the next song. But I tether the line between he was in a bad space at the time versus that's who he is. I don't know.
because he did say that.
This is the first
Yeah.
time I've actually heard Thug talk, so there's nothing to compare it to. There's no precedent to be like, oh, he's
Mm-hmm.
always been this way. Like, I don't know. I've never heard this man talk this much. And half the time, I don't
Mm.
really understand what he's saying. But I think that he was also in a very bad space. And I think Mariah she felt the
Consoling
energy.
him.
I think no,
Yeah.
I don't even think she was consoling him because there was multiple times where he said things and she got real quiet. And I'm like, I could tell she's like one of those
Mm.
women where if she probably doesn't agree, she'll just be quiet and like
Not saying
probably
nothing.
didn't want to
Yeah.
check him on the phone or something like that. But I felt like she felt based on that call and how she got quiet, like, that ain't right. But was like,
Yeah.
I'll check you in private, maybe, because some
Yeah.
women do that too. Some women are like, I'm not gonna say nothing in public, but I'm gonna check my man in private. And she was probably like,
This
well,
is
we're on
true.
a monitored line, so let me not say nothing. But then again, she should have been like, all right, next topic. I don't know. But
Used it. Yeah.
yeah,
He
but
did say that too. He did say he was in a bad space at the time being in jail. And as one could imagine, I would definitely can understand or maybe empathize with the fact that he was in a bad situation. But I don't think that you being in a bad situation means that you need to bring somebody else down. I think that I think that Mariah could have used her girl's girl moment to like said something like, yeah, babe, I disagree with you, but we could talk about something else. Like you said, switch the subject quick.
honestly, he was in there talking about everybody because when you in jail, you ain't got nothing but time but to talk. And listen, I have seen men who are not in jail do that much talking. One thing people need to catch up on too, because everybody's so surprised, and I don't know why, is that men talk more than women. And I'm telling you, I have seen men who are not in jail, who are free, do just as much talking on the phone as Thug. Like,
Free to run their mouth. Free to run. No, it's so
free to
true.
run their
Me and
mouth,
my
and they
girls
still
talk about this.
they're free to do anything in the world, and they still choose to run their mouth on the phone. Like
Yeah.
there are plenty
Yeah.
of men like that, and I think that just having that as a personality, and also like being in jail, you kind of get what we all seen. But again, I don't know if that's just his personality or if he was in a really bad place. And I feel like we also gotta give him grace. Like he was about to be looking at life.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I do agree too that men just run their mouth a little bit too much. And I think moral of the story in this situation is also pay attention to what you're saying and the conversations that you were having behind closed doors, because you never know what is done in the dark always comes to light. You never know when that will resurface. You don't know when it will be used against you. So I just think that we should always just like play on a fine line between like what's right and what's wrong, and just knowing that if it gets out, also stand on it. Like if that's what you said and you meant what you said, stand on it. But just know that anything can come back to anybody at any time.
Mhm.
So
I will
yeah.
say though, he did apologize to Glorilla, which I thought it was corny because she said he was in her messages talking about what color eyes she got. And I'm like, that sounds like something a boy would do. I will say a boy. So yeah, I will say he did apologize to her publicly, which he absolutely should have. Um the apology was a little lackluster for me, but he did kinda stand on everything else. I also feel like even with this Gunna situation, I know we talked about this previously, but I genuinely feel like Doug is hurt. And I have seen men friendships fall to pieces like that, and I think that sometimes it's just about having a conversation, a straight up honest conversation with each other if both parties care. Because sometimes one party will care
Hmm.
and then the other party won't. And I think in this Gunna and Thug situation, I think they're both very hurt and they both need to turn the mics off and have a conversation offline about it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
both need to be very realistic with their expectations because for one person to expect the other person to take a life sentence or to be involved in something that they were not never involved in or they was never the type. Like, for example, I'm like, excuse me, I don't know much about the streets, but Gunna has never struck me as a street type. So why is anybody surprised? And not in the
Hmm.
sense of like, oh, like he's a rat or whatever. I don't none of that matters. It's just like in rap, we also know that people have alter egos and so on and so forth. So not everybody that's rapping about this street stuff is really like that. And I'm not saying Gunna is or Gunna isn't, but what I'm saying is Gunna has never struck me as the type to really be about that life. So it's like if you're putting somebody in a situation who was really never like that in the first place, what did you expect?
You
What
never
did you
know. We don't
expect?
know what we don't know what we don't know what Gunna was involved in. You never know. I
Never
think
know.
people that also look like they haven't been a part of that type of lifestyle very well have been a part of that lifestyle.
Fair, fair. But
I do think.
sometimes you be knowing, and he just never struck me as a type. Nonetheless, I think it's one thing to be involved with to willingly be involved in stuff, and then when things get a little hot, you
Mhm.
run off. Then that to me is like a little funny. Like, oh, you was down when things were cool, but then you run off when things got hot. Versus,
Mhm.
yo, I was never the type anyways. Like, and you put me in this situation. That's two different scenarios to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do agree that I feel like they should probably have a conversation if both parties allow. But in my opinion, I feel like Gunna has changed his life. He's living a whole new life. I think he's making meaning out of things that he's doing with his 5K annual 5K run that he started in New York. I think that's dope. Like he's doing some
Hmm.
stuff to change things. So we'll just have to see how the story unfolds with this, honestly. But
But I think this
girl, I
ties
think
very
that
well
this
into free will, I'm not gonna lie.
doesn't it?
It
It
does.
really does. So, our topic for today's show is exercising your free will. I think this is so timely and such a great topic for us to discuss. So, what does free will mean to you? Like, what do you think about when you hear the word free will?
I think I struggle with it, to be honest. I think that but when I do think about, like, the idea of free will, it's like being able to make a decision that's solely based on your opinion and not any outside sources. You know? Making how can I say? It to me, it's also about being able to change your mind and being okay with that. That's what free will is to me. And for me, I struggle with that because I feel like I'm very much the type of person that if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. However, I am also very much the type of person that's always trying to help people and I will bend over backwards to help people and I will fit things into my schedule that I know logically does not fit and I will do things and I will do that sort of thing with people or for people very often and I think that I struggle with the idea of changing my mind or saying, "Hey, I'm not able to do this," or "I'm not gonna do this anymore," last minute because I just feel like it goes against my character in a way,
Hmm.
having that free will to be like, "Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore," because my character is very much if I said it, it's already done. You know what I mean? So I
Mm,
very much
hmm.
struggle with free will still.
So, you feel like you struggle with like free will and like integrity almost like a lot, like being a person of your word, but then also like staying true to who you are and how you feel as a person.
Yes, I feel like there's a
Hmm.
very thin line between doing what you said you were gonna do and having free will.
I agree. I agree. I think for me, free will looks like peace. It looks like not being coerced to do things that you don't want to do, um out of, like you said, like out of just the respect or just wanting to please other people. I think also free will is doing what you want to do with the outcome, whether the outcome is good or bad. Because I think that it's important to know to say that too. There's times that you can have exercise free will and the outcome may not be amazing, it may not be good. It may be good or may be bad. Like you wanting to quit your job is an example of that. If you're in a stressful job situation and you don't want to work there, you can have the free will to leave. The bad part may be income may not be consistent. The good part may be that you have a sense of peace and you're not stressed out. So I think for me, it just looks like making decisions independently that you want to do. What I struggle with as it relates to free will is the result of not pleasing somebody based on the decisions that I make. So
Mhm.
if I'm not able to do something that I know a friend or a family member really wanted me to do and I say no, I don't want to do that, or I just let's say they want me to go somewhere and I don't want to go, or they want me to do something that I just know I cannot do at that moment. I struggle with the effect of that person being upset with me or that person not liking the decision that I made, even though it was the best decision for me. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it may bring you peace and happiness, but on the back end, it's also like, ugh, that might have upset that person that I really didn't want to
Mhm.
upset in that moment. But I think that that's another thing where having a strong foundation in your friends and your family to know that if these things happen and you guys don't agree in the moment, that it's not an end all be all for the situation, that you guys will get over it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's what I struggle with is the people pleasing part of free will.
Yeah. It's so funny for me, it's like, I'm not when I think about, having to change or, do something that I said I was or not do something that I said I was gonna do, it really doesn't bother me about, like, not pleasing people. It's more of an internal struggle for me. It's more like, "Ooh, Crystal,
Mm,
you said you was gonna do that though. Like, come on, like, don't do that because you don't like when people do that to you." It's more of that internal conversation and battle that I have with myself. So it's so funny, we struggle with the same thing, but different perspectives on it. Um,
mhm,
and I think that for me, I also try to give myself grace when it comes to free will because it's a wire that just sparked in my brain. Like, as a kid, obviously, we always had to do what we were told, so on and so forth. It wasn't until I wanna say, like, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, where I started to be like, "Oh, wait, I don't really need to do that." Like, it took a while for
mhm.
those wires to, like, spark in me. You know when people, like, jumpstart a car and it's like, like, it's always been there slightly, but, like, recently,
Yeah.
the wires, like, really crossed for me and, like are, like now they're fully in and I'm just, like, learning how to exercise it, but still remaining responsible because I will say, y'all, on social media, we love to take these topics and then these buzzwords and let it be excuses for either not being a good person or not doing what we said we were gonna do. So I would hate to see free will become one of those like buzzy topics where people are using
Mhm,
it as an excuse to not stand on business and not do what they said they was gonna do. But yeah, for me, I'm like, when I actually like started to realize that I had free will a year and a half ago, where I was like, actually, like, I don't have to do that. And I really realized it, whereas, like, I would be getting a bunch of text messages or I'll tell you like this. I used to struggle with, like, the feeling of having to constantly respond to people in real time. And
mm,
that for me, 2, 3 years ago, literally, I get a text message and I feel like I had to respond in that exact moment, or I get a call and I had to respond and da da
mhm.
da. And then one day I was like, "Hold on now. You over here driving yourself crazy to get back to people, and what if you ain't have a phone? Like, what were people doing when they had house phones?" You know?
Okay.
I'm like, "Let's
Mhm.
go back to that a little bit." Like, I'm gonna respond to this message late, and now I'm terrible with responding.
I
I'm
was
like,
like,
"Let me get back
we
to
should normalize text messages having the same timeline as an email sometimes, depending on what it is. But I feel like
Yes.
immediate you know what that irritates me when as you just thought I just thought about what you said with the text is like let's say you're posting something online and someone immediately texts or call you right after you post. It's like just because I posted something doesn't mean, and it probably could have been scheduled by the way, doesn't mean that I am at my phone readily available and accessible to speak to you. Like, I think that people feel like text messages need an immediate response, and sometimes we need to take a beat and process what is being sent to us before we can reply, or we may just not be in the space to communicate back to back. I know some people have text conversations, so you want to text something and expect a reply and a response and a reply, and like sometimes we need like a second to be able to be still to send text and reply to you in a timely fashion.
No, no, no. Literally, I agree. I think that we need to start treating text messages like emails in terms of the expectation of a response from people, because as we get older too, it's like you realize like everybody's going through something. And that something might look different.
Girl.
Everybody's dealing with their own stuff. It could be superficial, it could not be superficial. Everybody's going through their own thing. And we really, as we get older, we learn how to practice grace even when we don't understand. And that's really how you practice grace. Where you when you don't understand something, yet you're still giving that person grace. That is how
Mhm.
you practice grace, in my opinion. But so like I was saying, in terms of like practicing like free will, I'm still very new to it. So I'm still identifying like when to practice it and when to not. And for me, I
Mhm.
think let's help people learn how to identify when they should practice their free will. What do you think about that?
Hmm. Yeah, let's help people identify. So I think that like free will looks a lot like personal boundaries that you set for yourself. No one has to necessarily know what these boundaries are, but if there's things that you've promised yourself that you will not do, but it's being presented to you and you do it, you are in fact not exercising free will. Like you are practicing people pleasing and you're doing something because someone else wants you to do it. So I think exercising free will can be, for example, if you have made a promise to yourself, let's say you're in your 30s, because we like to say when you're in your 30s, then you're in your 30s and you just realize, you know what, going to the club is not something you enjoy anymore. If it's a birthday or a special occasion, cool, but it just is not something that you wanna do all the time, but you may have a homegirl that she's like, "I wanna be in the club every weekend." Like, that's still something she wants to do, and she's asking you to go with her. You may, one, feel like you wanna go because that's your friend, it's something that she wants you to do, but exercising free will is saying no because it's something you don't like doing. It's something that when you're in there, you're like, "I wanna be home. I don't wanna be in this space." So I think exercising free will in that sense could be saying no that you don't want to do that thing. It could be a family member maybe asking you to borrow money you may not have to lend. I think
Now,
exercising free will
run
is
that back.
saying no.
Run that back one more time, Amanda. Somebody asking you for money that you
It
cannot,
could free will can be a
baby.
family member or a friend asking you to borrow money that you don't have to lend. And when I say you don't have to lend, I always think that when lending money to someone, lend them something that if you do not get it back, you will not lose sleep over. If you lose sleep over $5, don't give no one $5. If you lose sleep over 50, don't give 50, 100, 500, 1,000, whatever that number looks like to you. But I feel
Mhm.
like free will can also look like saying no to family and friends who ask you for money that you do not have to give. Because if you're
Absolutely.
giving money to someone that you in fact need, you're not practicing free will because when you need it and they don't give it to you, you get upset. And you should be getting upset with yourself because you just told them no, and then you would have been a-okay. So those are two
Mhm.
things I would say for me that looks like exercising free will. And I had to
Mhm.
say family and friends because I feel like that's a sensitive, touchy subject because those are people that we care about the most. But you cannot sabotage your own feelings and your own
Situation.
livelihood,
Yeah.
yeah, and support of other people, because when you give and your cup is empty, what do you have to pour into? Like, what do you have to pour into others if
Listen,
you continue to empty the cup?
and there's one thing Imma say about this life. Givers will give, and takers will take as much as givers give. Okay?
Yeah,
So be careful
yeah.
how giving and generous you are. But let's jump into the 7 steps to help everyone exercise free will. First and
Let's
foremost,
do it.
the first step is practicing self awareness. So it's really about like, I know Amanda and I kind of gave you like different our personal perspectives on how to exercise it. But for you, I want you guys to think about like notice when you are acting on autopilot. Like that's the best way to identify and practice self-awareness. So you really have to notice when you are on autopilot versus when you are making a deliberate choice. That right there is the moment where you'll find yourself being able to practice free will, because a lot of times we're just doing things because we're just so used to doing it. And sometimes eventually practice will make us stressed out. So for example, I seen somebody talking about how like they had a couple different trips planned, whatever, and they started to realize like the trip planning wasn't really fun for them anymore, and they had so many different things to work on, and she was like, "Actually, you know what? I'm gonna cancel this trip." And
Mm,
it made her feel so much better about it because she realized that she was acting on autopilot instead of being like, "Okay, what's practical? I know I promised to do this 4 weeks ago, but things came up, priorities
mhm,
switched around in real time. Now what's realistic for right now in real time?" So, finding
mm.
that moment where you feel like you're acting on autopilot versus making a deliberate choice, and, you know, in those moments, you should definitely kind of like try to lean on either journaling or reflecting on your journal so that you can help yourself make a deliberate choice to see, like, okay, this is where I was and like this is where I want to go. Like, I always love going back to something that I wrote down a couple weeks ago because sometimes it could get lost and you got to remind yourself that little feeling again and be like, okay, wait, no. All right. This is the direction that I was trying to go in. So
Yeah.
let me get that little refresher. You get what I'm saying? Or even take like little pauses throughout the day to help yourself identify what's patterns and what's actual decisions. Now, I'm not talking about your routine here. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about really identifying the moments where you feel stressed and how to relieve that stress. Not about like going to the gym and doing this and doing that. And maybe it is doing those sorts of things too. Like, maybe you are realizing, hey, doing the gym, then breakfast and XYZ after is stressing me out. Let me make a deliberate choice to adjust this routine that I have because right now I'm on autopilot and it's not working for me anymore.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. I think a second part of that for part 2 of exercising or steps to exercise your free will is clarifying your values. I think that looks like defining what's most meaningful to you as it relates to family, health, creativity, growth, and all those things, and use those specific values as a compass to guide you when practicing free will. So, like I mentioned before, like it's those things that matter most to you. So if there's just some things that don't align or are not in alignment, we love to talk about alignment on our podcast and on our show. If those things that are being asked of you are not within your set parameters of what makes you feel happy, what makes you free, what makes you in alignment with who you are as a human being, then the answer is always going to be no. You cannot compromise those things. And it just boils down to what are my set principles and values that I have for myself. And I think that's like the second most important thing when practicing free will, for sure.
Mhm, mhm, and I guess that's what I was saying, kind of like, to piggyback on what you're saying, like, if you journal, reflect on your journal because in that journal, you'll
Hmm.
probably write down your principles and where you wanna be and so on and so forth, so it's kinda like realigning, so, yeah, that's basically what I was kinda hinting at. So I love that, I feel like those 2 things go hand in hand. I will also say, I think that pausing your automatic
Hmm.
reactions is the 3rd step of practicing free will, so it's kinda like identifying when you are acting on autopilot, but this one is a little different. This is like identifying when you are reacting on autopilot. And
Mm,
this is something I'm also still practicing in real time. And I feel like I practice it a lot like when it comes to like my house stuff and dealing with like outside contractors, vendors, so on and so forth, but especially when it comes to like dealing with a house as a homeowner for some reason, I have practiced my pausing before reacting so much because a lot of times, and maybe it's like the New Yorker in me, I'm still turning that off. I'm like, okay, go, 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 get it done, get it off my plate, like respond, so on and so forth. But like being a homeowner now and like dealing with like a different set of like ball games when it comes to like roofs costing $2,000 and my lawn costing $20,000
mhm.
and so on and so forth. I have really had to pause and take a beat before making decisions because those decisions are much heavier. So I feel like I am practicing, pausing before acting much more now and, taking a step back and saying, okay, let me look at the big picture really quick before I respond and I react to this situation that's in front of me. And it has
Mhm.
helped me so much. It has helped me just take a moment to be able to, like, think about how things are gonna play out long term. It allows me to see the
Yeah.
chessboard a little bit better in a sense, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that that also can look like taking deep breaths and practicing meditation or prayer before making a decision, especially if it's a huge decision that you have to make. I think the pause can look like a woosah moment. Like, it could look like, "Let me really, like, think about this and take a
Mhm.
moment," versus feeling like you need to be reactive, like how you mentioned with the phone, that was a perfect example with feeling like you gotta respond quickly. Sometimes you need to really think things through. Another thing that I feel like people should consider when focused on practicing free will is the challenge of external pressures. We deal with that all the time.
Mhm.
We're easily watching things, whether it be social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, threads. And I feel like society puts a lot of pressure on us to decide things because it's already been decided for us versus us take our own accountability and figure out if it's really something we want to do. I know the episode before this one that you guys may have watched is how expensive it is being a wellness girly. Are you a wellness girly because you truly want to be or because you just see all your favorite influencers drinking Pilates? I mean, sorry, drinking Pilates. That's crazy. Drinking matcha and going to Pilates. Like, is that something you truly are passionate about?
Clock
Maybe
it.
you want to be a boxer. Maybe you
Clock
don't
it.
want to do Pilates.
Mhm.
So I think that we have to pay attention to a lot of the external pressure that society puts on us to fit in a box or to be this specific person when that may not be something you're passionate about. You don't have to do everything because the Joneses are doing it. You
Hello.
should do it because you want to do it. And that's what it boils down to.
Mhm. You know what? Side note, I don't know when this happened or when this switch happened, but I feel like growing up, the generation before us always really valued authenticity and being different. I don't know when we got to this place where everybody wants to be the same. 'Cause I'm like, growing up, I could only remember my mom and my family members telling me, "Oh, be different, be different. Oh, that's cute, that's different from what everybody else
Girl,
is doing." And now it's like
yes,
everybody's like, I wanna be the same, I wanna be the same, I wanna be the same." And it's like, when did we get to this
literally.
place? It's so odd. Sorry, that was a little side note, but
No,
very
I
odd.
agree, and I told you this, I was like, my mom always told me, "Be yourself." Like, that's always and I'm like, that sounds, whatever," like, but that makes perfect sense to me now as an adult. Like, you have to be who you are in your truest form because there's only one you, and if you
Mhm,
wanna continue to do things that other people are doing, there's gonna be multiple versions of you. So, yeah, just continue to lean into your individuality because it's something that you wanna do. If you literally just wanna be a nomad and travel the entire world for the whole entire year, do it because it's what you wanna do is something that you're gonna wake up every day and be happy and passionate about, and I think that's also something that free will is about, is the happiness you feel with the decisions that you've made, no matter what the outcome is, nothing else should matter. I think it also looks like we just talked about this too, is taking responsibility of the outcomes literally leads in the next thing. Like, whatever the outcome is by whatever decision you make, if you are good with it, that's what matters.
mhm.
You. That's it. It
And you
doesn't
also have to
matter.
be good with any consequences that comes with it. But I think
Absolutely.
if you pause before you react and you really think things through before you make a decision and a choice, then you will be happy with the consequences and or the benefit regardless, as long as you pause before you react. Oh my god, you know what's so crazy? As I'm saying decision versus choice, the other days I was on social media and this girl was breaking down the difference between making a choice and a decision, and
Mm.
I was like, "Oh my god, I love TikTok." Because she was basically saying, like, a choice is something you make without, a precedent,
Mm.
because and a decision is something you made after a precedent was already set. So, like, a choice is, like, something like, "Oh, do you wanna try this or do you wanna try that?" And then you're like, "Oh, yeah, I'll try the strawberry matcha or whatever." And you've
Mhm.
never had either or. I've never had blueberry and I've had strawberry. But you know what? Let me try strawberry. I made a choice to try
As a
strawberry.
choice.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're making a decision, now I'm going back to this place and I'm like, "Oh, okay, like, last time I didn't really like the strawberry, so now I'm gonna make a decision to do the blueberry, or I'm make a decision to do the strawberry again, even though I know and there was already a precedent set that I don't like strawberry." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's such a cool way to think about it." Like, I don't know if that's, like,
Yeah.
actually accurate, like, by the definition, but I'm like, "That kinda makes sense." Like, a decision is really
Yeah.
based off of a precedent that was already set, and a choice is sort of just a choice, an optimistic selection, if you will.
I like that. I like that you put that into perspective because it makes a lot of sense.
Especially when
And
we're talking about, like, making choices and,
mhm,
making decisions based on your free will, you know? And right now we're talking about, like, step 5, which is taking responsibilities of the outcome. So,
mhm.
when you are making, these decisions, you've gotta be ready for the benefits or the consequences of your choice rather than blaming the circumstances or others. You really have to decide, like, "Okay,
Yes.
what am I doing here?" And then, and making those sort of educated decisions, if you will really help you strengthen your agency when it comes to making decisions in the future and your
I love that
confidence.
you said that. And I think this could be also another topic that we have on the show, but I feel like especially when it relates to like circumstances, I totally can empathize and understand that a lot of people are dealt different cards in life and they're given different circumstances, but the power of free will is something that's just so like mind-blowing to me because you literally can revamp your whole entire life. You literally can
Mhm.
change the outcome based on the cards that you were given just by using your mental strength to say, you know what, I'm going to take a stand and I'm not going to do this. I'm
Mhm.
going to go the opposite way. It's going down the road less traveled. It's taking a leap of faith to do the things that you've never known to do, that was never done by family and friends that are around you because you want a different outcome than what you are currently dealing with. So I think that that's something that's super powerful in free will. And there's so many people who have done amazing things and have done it without any resources at that.
Mhm.
Um, so I love that we talked about the responsibility of the outcomes. I think another one is practicing small acts of choice daily.
Yes.
It could be anything. It could be saving money. It could be you wanting to be a better runner. I say runner because that's something that I'm like want to do now. You guys know I love working out and stuff like that, but I used to like run track. And so I told myself for the month of September, I'm going to run more, just to build my endurance and just to do something different. So it's like I can make the daily choice to do a little bit of cardio every day to kind of build my stamina or build my endurance to become a better runner, to be able to run a 5K, a 10K, and so on and so forth. So I think that free will is also exercising the daily choice to make the changes that you want to make in your life. And it could be small. It doesn't have to be huge things, but when you look at the big picture, those small steps lead to the big things. So you have to take a stance and take a step, but make sure that it's something you want to do.
And I think the last step is really about just like aligning with intention. So following through with what you say. Once you make that decision, just like really following through with it and making sure your actions align with the direction you're trying to go in. I think on this podcast we really promote the idea, and not the idea, but like intention overall, like doing things with intention, circling yourself, surrounding yourselves with people intentionally that you intentionally want to be around. Intention, girl, between intention and now that we're in our 30s,
Alignment, all of that.
alignment,
Alignment.
all these buzzwords, but they're like real words, real words that make real impact. And now we are going to
Mhm.
add free will into that circle of words that we love to use on here. And yeah, just making sure that you are aligned with your actions and your intentions following your free will.
Absolutely.
And that's
I
it.
couldn't agree more. I think it's exactly what you said. If you say no, that you do not want to do something, the alignment and following through with the action is the reason you didn't want to do that thing is because you wanted to stay home to work on that business that you said you wanted to start. So when you say no, make sure that you're home working on the business you wanted to start because that was the
Mhm.
reason for you not deciding to do the thing that your friend or family member asked you to do. I think those are amazing points. Those 7 points are really good. And I feel like this will like lead us into our elevation message for our overall show for today. So the elevation message that I actually found earlier was something that I think resonated with me and I wanted to share with you guys. It's a quote by the amazing Maya Angelou. And the quote is, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." I'll say it again. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide to not be reduced by them.
Mm-hmm.
Maya Angelou. I think that this is perfect as it relates to free will because so many of us deal with so many different things, whether it's pain, trauma, betrayal, injustice, loss, and all these things that may have a negative impact on our lives and who we are as a human being. But we don't have to be reduced by those things. Those things do not have to define us. If you've dealt with trauma, abuse, loss of love, or any of those things in your life, those things don't have to make who you are. You can come out of those things. Like those things can be something that happened to you, but they're not something that is you. They're not the things that are going to be your end all story. I think that you don't allow pain to reduce you or your dignity or your identity. So I just basically want to just say that I think it's so amazing as people, the fact that we can change and alter anything with our mind. Like our mind is so powerful. It's such an amazing place to reinvent, recreate, redefine, and not allowing past things or things that may come up in the future to define who we are. It's just a moment that happened in history, or it's just a moment that happened that I'm still, navigating and processing, but I am this person as well. I can do these things as well. These are other things that are amazing elements that also make me who I am as well at my core. So, yeah.
You know, it's so funny. I watched Tiana Taylor's recent movie. It's not recent, from like a couple months ago or maybe like a year ago. And then the movie, the mom was like, "You could be from the hood. You don't need to be of the hood." And I was like, "Oh, clock it. Clock it. You don't have to be
Yes.
of your situation. You can come from those situations. You can grow from those situations, but you don't need to be of those situations." Very different thing.
Shout out to Tiana Taylor. She
Oh, I
got
love
actually so
her.
many awards from that movie. I love her too. And she's just like a great example of that as well. She's just a singer, an actress, a mom, a philanthropist. Like she does so many different things. I love how she just like redefined her whole entire life and the rebranding. Tiana, incredible.
Clock it.
I love it.
I
I'm
love
here
it for
for
her.
it.
She's so underrated. We need to get
So
her on the
underrated. I
podcast.
always say that. Oh my goodness.
We
She's
need to
so
get her
talented.
on this podcast,
That's a
y'all.
multi hyphenate. Yes, we need Tiana. Please come on our podcast.
But anyways, I love this topic. I hope this helps somebody. We appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Make sure you are liking, subscribing if this worked for
All
you.
of that.
Please share it with a friend that you feel like this episode will help. Or maybe just share it with a friend that you want to kiki with about over this topic, because I feel like this topic is becoming very popular on social media right now. Make sure you are leaving us reviews. We will read them on the show. Leave us a speak pipe. And we'll get with you next week.
Until next time, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.